What's going on, profiteers? Hope all is well. Another episode with Combos with your CFP, Mario Payne in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. But before we get started, like, subscribe, share, and also, before we get started, pause me, whoop, download our app, Let Bob. LETBOB. It's in your Apple Store. It's in your Play Store. We teach you from a financial literacy standpoint. What's the stock? We give education. Also, you're allowed to trade and invest. And if it's a stock that you say, I don't know when to buy to sell it, we can do it for you. Let Bob. Also, don't forget, we do have our own ETF on the market. LETB. Let B. The third black-owned ETF ever on the stock market, but the first black-owned ETF that is fully automated. Let's go, Bob. Bob is bobbing around. And the great thing about it, last year in 2022, we did beat the index. We're doing something right over here, right? But with that being said, the conversation I had today with the client, when will my money double? Great question, because when we think about investing, we think about we put in money one day and the next day it's double. Then the next day it triple, then quadruple. Doesn't work like that. So we talked about what does that mean? So we talked about Rule 72. You may have heard it, may not heard it. What does that mean? 72, what rule was that? Well, very, very simple. Let's look at the screen. And shouts out to Investopedia for giving us this great content. Man, they give us great information all the time when it comes to checking in on the terms of investing. But what is Rule 72? The Rule of 72 is a quick, useful formula that popularly used to estimate the number of years required to double the investment money at any given rate of return. Alternatively, it can compute the annual rate of compounded return from an investment given how many years it will take to double. So basically, whatever your return is, we take 72 in front of that, divide it, and that lets you know how many years it's going to take for your money to double. So if we are a slow but steady wins the race type of investor, then that Rule 72 might not look too high. So we take 72 and divide it by 3. How many years is it going to take us to double our money? 24 years. Rest in peace, Kobe. 24 years to double our money. Now, do you think we're going to be in a CD for 24 years? When it rolls over every 5 years with that 5-year CD, it's slowly but surely growing. And with the CD, you might have simple interest, not compounding interest. Simple interest, we got $100, we made 3%, we made $3. The next year, we made $3. The next year, we made $3. Compounding interest, a little bit different because your money compounds. It's like Legos, you're building. So $100 the first year, you made $3. Now you have $103. And 3% on 103 is not just $3. It's $3 and some change. So every single year, your money goes up from a compounded interest standpoint. And we talked about that on the 10% return. At 10%, you would think, well, if I make 10% a year over 10 years, my money should double. Not so fast, my friend. Rule 72 says we take 72. Divide that into 10 because you're making a 10% return. Well, in that case, it only takes you 7.2 years to double your money. Well, how was that so? I invested $100,000. I'm making 10%, $10,000 a year. Shouldn't it take 10 years? No, because of compounding interest. The first year I made $10,000 on my $100,000. The second year, now I have $110,000. So 10% on $110,000 is not $10,000. It's $11,000. And every single year it compounds. Now in the market, we know that's not all the case every single year because we might have this and we might have this. We might have this and we might have this as well. So we know going into it, we're going to have ups and downs. This is why Rule 72 is so important. It gives you a gauge when it comes to how much risk you want to put in and how much return you want to have and how much time it's going to take for you to really make your goals, which is doubling your money. So if you are a cautious investor, not cautious like 3% in the CD, not aggressive like 10%. Now, you as a certified financial planner like myself, you should be making more than 10%, but I digress. But if you're just moderate and you make, let's say, 7%, well, easy math. We take 72, divide that into 7. That's 9 years. So just slow and steady wins the race. The good times and bad times, you're in an index fund, which historically averages about 7% a year. Then in 9 years, that's when your money should double. That's excluding any fees. Depending on who you use, you might have fees. Depending on what investments you choose, you have fees as well. So that's gross before fees, but that is 9 years. So it makes you think, does slow and steady usually win the race? I don't know with investing, but we don't want to crash and burn either. So this is a key when it comes to Rule 72. The key is making sure your risk tolerance fits how long your money wants to double. One more thing. We can use Rule 72 in all walks of life from a financial standpoint. We talk about recession. Is a recession here? Is it not here? Depends on who you ask. But when it comes to GDP, recession is based on GDP, right? The real definition of recession is when gross domestic product or GDP is negative for 2 consecutive months. So as we look at Rule 72, when is GDP going to double? When is things going to rock and roll from an economic standpoint? Same thing. We take that 72 and divide it into that GDP number. So let's say GDP is 6%, right? 72, and you want to know how long it's going to take for the economy to double. How long is it going to take for our GDP to double? How many years from now should we be rocking and rolling from a GDP standpoint? Well, we'll take that 72 as we look on the screen. Well, the answer is 12 years. 72 divided by 6, 12 years. So if you think we're in the pits from an economic standpoint, and I don't know how long it's going to take for us to get back to where it was. I don't know how long it's going to take the economy to double. There you go. If you think that GDP should be at 6% a year, we take 72 divided by 12. That gives us 6. Or if we take GDP at 72 and put it in 6, means it's going to be a longer time, then that's going to be 12 years. So from a financial standpoint, any walks of life. So the key takeaways are 72, doubling your money. But when we double our money, we want to make sure from a risk tolerance standpoint that we are very careful how we invest our money. In the words of Nelly, if it's getting hot in here, then you need to take off all that risk tolerance and slow it down. If you can't risk losing money in the market, try index fund or try Let Be. That's more defensive. But if you want to rock and roll in the market, then look at some stocks that'll grow. Because the quicker that they grow, the quicker we can apply that Rule 72, and the quicker your money might double. Now, as always, investments comes with risk, so you want to consult your certified financial planner like myself or your local certified financial planner. You also want to think about your time horizon, right? If we're younger, we want to risk more, maybe not. One rule of thumb is if I risk more, I'll make more money over time. But if I risk more, I might lose more. So if you're younger, do you want to have slow and steady win the race? As a more mature, older investment, 2 trains of thought. That investor might say, well, I got a shorter time to retirement. I'm close to retirement. Let me dump as much money as possible and invest as risky as possible so I have that bigger nest egg. Other train of thought is, right, one good shoulder, one bad shoulder, or brush your shoulders off, right? One train of thought is, don't want to do that because if I'm risky, I'm closer to retirement. It's going to take longer to make that money back. No right answer, no wrong answer. That's why it's important to talk to a CFP and do defensive investments like Let Bob or do your research before you go aggressive. With that being said, profiteers, hope that gives us information about what is Rule 72, how to use it, what's compounding interest, and how we can rock and roll in the stock market. But comment below, We heard about Rule 72. Are we in investments that's killing that rule like you're doubling your money in 1 year? Woo, 100%. I would take that. Might be kind of risky though, but I'll take it. And as always, you guys, let's make some paper profits together. Peace.
And you just want to get paid. Tired of making the money mistakes. Make a payment on your bills and you still late. Yeah, paying for profits to help you seek change. And you just want to get paid.